Howdy friends, it's me. I was at the Glasgow Regional playing in the definitely not best of one format, and yeah, I was tired because we went up on the day. I'm tired now, and we're gonna do the deck profile. I feel like it was best to be in optimal conditions of done with it, and we're gonna get on with it with definitely the first take on the deck profile. We'll start things off with the eggs the same way we always do. Don't you love it when we start with the eggs? Most of my game plans start with the eggs. Mills 2 is only when you have the things. If you ended up on not the tags, then you won't mill 2, which is sometimes kind of useful. We're on one of the BT3 Imp because early on he's great. Sometimes if you're playing into a ruin mode matchup, he can just be a free spark. I used him to set up a Tom and Jerry death trap for a purple hybrid player in my round 1, and they didn't walk into it. I was deeply upset. But yeah, this really funny card. He's still useful. Thanks to Brad for lending me the alt art. Then we've got EX2 Impmon, because there's as many as we're legally allowed to play. We have cut 3 of the best Impmon down. I think in future I'd probably find space to get him up to 4. Just because the inherit for being able to 2-for-1 is really important for not having to waste stuff on level 3. He gave me some lethal lines or some board clear lines that were only possible because I didn't have to waste removal on a small body. He was able to clear it. I also did cut 3 down to 3 of the Impmon X, another fantastic card. The mill's brilliant for just kind of turboing and really getting the value. Extra cycle when you need it. Sometimes a stuck rookie. Obviously really did miss this a lot, but we did need space for 2 of the Impmon. This card did impress me. I don't know if it needs to be at 2 though. I feel like it's possible that this could be the cut and you go like that and go 4 there. Being able to play a tamer felt really good. It is from trash, not from handle trash, so you do have to set it up. Sometimes you just hit it off the blind mill, and then if you float into this off of Impmon, it feels really good. I did throw some lethal lines by thinking that it would play a certain one, Iron Marco, but I didn't. But yeah, we're on 5, 8, 10 rookies. Kind of greedy, but what is Beelzemon if not greed incarnate? Although I'm aware that he is, what, gluttony. And we are not gluttonous for our level 4s. This is the most, you figured it out, level 4 lineup of all time. Yep, there's 8 of them. They do the things you're supposed to. 4 of them give you hammer sparks when you need to cheat. And the other one, he's just there. Sometimes he gives blocker, which is kind of important, but very rarely. You know me. I'm a big subscriber to the 4 Beelzemon movement. I think that 5 Beelzemon is cringe and you should just high roll people. Learned that there was a judge stamp version of this at the event, so did not max bling this. I mean, Beelzemon, usually I am borrowing stuff from people. I did, however, choose to put in a 5th Beelzemon X. I don't like this card, but, you know, we're on X antibody, so it does get value. It does sometimes pop a little guy for board clear. It is, most importantly, just a 3rd guy that lets, like a 5th guy that lets you play the game. And that is sometimes, you know, obviously this is how you want to play, but if you also want to be able to play the game. So sometimes we just need a 5th one. It was going to be a long day. I didn't want to just waste my tournament run on just not seeing the Beelzemons. And he did come up. He did save me in a couple of games. Plus 2k also, he's just big. You make really big Beelzemons. So we're on 5 level 5s. I'm not happy about it, but it was a long day. I couldn't risk running it down. Speaking of running it down, these guys are great for running it down because when you mill them, they play out the Impmon, which sometimes you get a free tamer, and off that tamer, you get a search. So these cards were crazy. Would have loved to put more of them in, but the removal is nice. 11k is kind of small, and early game, the 3-cost memory is great, but I know a lot of people aren't as big a fan of the starter deck one because early game, you're not really always getting the 10. He's usually a 3-cost Evo. This is usually, I mean, the rest of the Beelzemons are 3-cost Evos. Him being 4, though, does make things kind of awkward on your lines. But it was really good. Secured a bunch of lethal lines because, I mean, he is that guy for pushing damage. Really good card. Again, thank you to Brad for these, and thank you to Brad for these. The actual new best Beelzemon in the deck. The memory nonsense is fantastic. Again, the second half of the Tom and Jerry, like, death trap. But the Digivolve Beelzemon is just value that people aren't respecting. It's a chance to mill during your opponent's turn. The amount of times that I swung a Beelzemon that would float and then go into the Beelzemon and then just Digivolve a stack. It was great versus Imperial. It was great versus a bunch of decks that wanted to play for board. I've killed Gallant players with it. Over the weekend, it got me a lot of really useful targets. And the Digivolve 2 is heinous, so got to play for board a lot. Really, really good card. Genuinely, if it wasn't for the fact that this had the when mill thing, I think the fact that this is the only when mill Beelzemon keeps it at like minimum 2 of. But I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people start cutting this down to 1 or something and trying to really max out on these. I thought this card was crazy. It's the same mill for, so you're digging just as deep for cards to scam your opponent with. But yeah, really, really good card. Usually I would set it up off of the Iron Marco or off of a Wizardmon stack, so when the Balmons floats, you can guarantee there's a Beelzemon. I've had it hit out of security, so then I could then... I did win a game off of being able to have an Impmon warp into this, which then not only hit the Hammer Sparks, but it also got a Digivolve, which gave me the Ace Overflow, so I was able to engineer a lethal push from this having Rush. It's not gains Rush, it has Rush, so if you evolve into Beelz X, you will lose it. Speaking of... you do have to be careful, so you do need the X antibody under this. There are a bunch of times where I found myself where I needed the X antibody, so that way the Impmon that I floated into or something like that could turn into Rush Beelzemon and then swing and burn for game, which is where the Barlex was a little bit more helpful. But yeah, this is the Beelzemon lineup for the level 6s, and then we're on 1 Ruin mode because he does win games against my Takemikazuchi player, easy TCG in round 3. I got cutscened game 1, just like, 2 minutes, Fenry moment. Game 2, I ruin mode him to keep him in the back, and then it blows up next turn, and I just kill him from there. Game 2, he makes a 6k body in the back after the first turn of ruin mode, and I swing the ruin mode to 5k again, have enough memory to play an Impmon, use the Iron Marco to turn into a Beelzemon, and then Rivals Barrage back the Ruin mode and just -10 him in the back to win that. So that's how I won that set. Ruin mode's crazy. A lot of people don't respect it. Sometimes you do just leave a Beelzemon on the board, and if it's not this guy, if you don't have a means of setting up a mill during your opponent's turn, and you're just sitting on like a deletion, or realistically after this guy's done its on play when digivolving, he's a vanilla. He's just dead ass and 11k vanilla. So he's usually your best target, because usually you'll swing, either he's a freshly played rush body, or you swung a stack that has him, and then you've got nothing else to do with it, so you just put the ruin mode on top of it. So yeah, the ruin mode's really, really useful. We're on 1 blast mode. Honestly, I don't think I lethaled with him even one time today, or like over the weekend, in the Ultimate Cup or in the main bracket. The days where you use this guy to unsuspend, they're just not real. Like, this guy's a gun. This is all he is just an extra removal spell. He's like this, where it hits a level 3 and then climbs for every 10. So I would just sometimes use these two together to double pop something. Early game, it feels kind of whack when you just randomly shoot an empty board, but it feels nice whenever you clear something. And then late game, it allows you to, if you're playing really, really late, this guy is clearing 6s and 7s, so I used it to clear a Hexablow. Yeah, really, really useful card. Like, I used it to Digivolve 2 and then hit the body that was under the Hexablow, so really, really useful card. And then Chef Jamboree griefed me on the day and forgot to bring this with, but his Beelzemon SP is gorgeous, and this card only costs 1 more than Rivals Barrage. And if your opponent can't answer it, yeah, he is a Rivals Barrage that stacks the top 10 cards of your deck. So you get to just put the 1-of back, put all the Memory Sparks back. I know they're supposed to use it as a Blast Evo. I basically only had 1 game where someone just swung not respecting that this card is in the game. And I think it'll happen less as the game goes on. But early on, people just don't remember that purple has good aces. So, yeah, shout out to Blast Mode Ace. Kai gave me their alt art, so yeah, shout out to Blast Mode Ace for punishing people that just simply refuse to read or acknowledge that purple has good aces now. By good aces, I mean aces singular. Deathslinger is at 4 because it has to be. It's memory, and sometimes because this only pops a 3, sometimes people will leave a 5 on the board thinking that, oh, well, I'm only at 10, a 3 can't clear, and I go, hey, Lamau, die. In Minecraft. So yeah, 4 costs to remove basically anything in the game, depending on how the game is going, is pretty great. 7 costs to actually remove anything in the game is a lot better though. Rivals Barrage, this card was on hiatus whenever I needed him. It was deeply frustrating. I think the deck got worse the shinier these got. These are the special release pack ones, so as I got more of them, the deck started playing worse. Be that as it will. But yeah, you know, card carries the deck. If you can set it up early, like it should always be your, unless they present like a level 7 with no something like turn 2, you should be putting this Rivals Barrage in your thing. And I honestly try not to even crack the Rivals Barrage until the second one shows up. Or, you know, if I've got a 4 in the back and finally a ball pops out of security off of a mill or something, that's when I'm using this. I basically always try and save this for when it's there. Sometimes you just have to use it to put a rookie in the back, which feels pretty crap. But yeah, generally you're trying to not shoot things. Every time that your opponent draws a Rivals Barrage out of you that's not a slinger to clear a body, you've lost so much tempo. Like, you need this to show up, because when you do push, because of the way this is very when Digivolving heavy, the when attacking is milling 6 to 8, you cannot afford to like mill nearly 10 cards and not be able to use a Rivals Barrage to then answer the board state that you had. If you hit 2 Rivals Barrage on like the turn that you're pushing, those are 2 cards that were just effectively dead. You might as well not even have set them. It's really, really frustrating to lose out on stuff like that, especially because we're on a lower count of Impex, but it is what it is. We are on 7th full cluster, just so that way people do have to play the mini game of what are they hitting in security. Stops you from decking out when you do go super deep. We're not on Scramble anymore because we were gaslit into playing Bonds of True Love, because, you know, you will mill your single Scramble and you won't mill your you won't mill your Bonds of True Love. I'm gonna be frank with y'all, I hate this card. I think this card's trash. Sure, it mills, and sure, it plays Impmon, but very rarely are you getting taken off the board and then floating into an Impmon where it matters. Usually, in most of my situations, like I tried it at 2 and it was just completely dead. It's a one of at best, because if you get taken off board twice, you deserve to lose. Just frankly, you deserve to lose. If like this should proc twice, it sucks. The fact that obviously they're both at scramble timing means it's only when the board is empty. So you have to get taken off board and have something in raising, and that's where you really get the value out of this. And that's where it can, you know, go into an Impmon play Iron Mako, and then you use specifically the new Iron Mako to warp. But I hated this card. 3 cost to mill 2, you know, when I have traditionally spent 1 to mill 3. Felt pretty ass. It only feels maybe good if you're going first and you go rookie this and it hits a slinger or to choke to 2 or a rivals off the top. But other than that, I hated this card. I thought it was miserable. Training though, my beloved, honestly, I would consider just running 3 trainings, because searching, you just really, anything that gets you closer to finding one of your 5 Balmons is really, really important. We are an X antibody because why be better than your opponent when you can scam them in security as a bomb that they weren't expecting. A lot of the times they're setting up for, oh man, I've got to play around deletion, and then they just lose the memory and it just, you know, yoink. You're not on any memory setters, it doesn't matter though. Obviously this card allows you to warp at blitz speed. The amount of times where I got stuck trying to calculate lethal and then remembered, oh, Beelzemon X burn 3 swing for game, was kind of astounding. Unfortunately, I did have to relearn it every single time because I was really, really tired. I woke up at 3 AM. We're on 1 of this card. I hated this card nearly every part of the day. I still hate this card, but it did give me the double ruin mode turn skip on Takumi Kazuchi player. So this card has had 1 recorded instance of doing something. 20 cards in trash is the same threshold for the when attacking Impmon. The fact that you can do it into a rush body now means that you can kind of play around stuff. It means that Hexablow is a bit easier to deal with because you don't have to be swinging, like you don't get just stuck under the Hexablow. You can just use it, warp, get rid of the Hexablow, which is really important. So the card was good for that. The start of memory did come up, but it really just is not the all-star Iron Mako. This card's crazy. This card is your main search, like a memory boost that then also lets you not deck thin as much when you're milling is fantastic. It obviously sets up your rivals when you get them into hand, because obviously, you know, it's great to blind mill them, but sometimes they do just end up in your hand. Games where you end up with your slingers and your important cards in hand instead of off the deck feels absolutely horrendous. So Iron Mako as soon as possible. Your best turn 1 is literally rookie Iron Mako, and that's fine. Rookie training's fine too, but ideally you just rookie Iron Mako. You're not pushing out first stack anymore unless it is the Impmon. So Generally, this is good. It's retaliation inherent in Hitmon's cute, but it really didn't do anything. This is the 50 that I took to Glasgow. I went 4-4. I did throw one of my rounds by just not seeing the lethal. He presented me Hexablow, a level 5 Huancan, and a rookie, and I de-digivolved the Hexablow and shot it with the play I mentioned earlier, and then my BT3 Impmon went into security and died, and it gave me double spark plus play an Impmon, which I used to play the starter deck Impmon, but that was just so much tempo that I wasn't accounting for that I just couldn't see the line. So in that instance, because there was also a rookie in the back, I needed to clear board and ruin mode the board, and I just couldn't see a way to do that. But in hindsight, the line would have been to Wizard X over the thing, mill, it hits the level 3, and then I can shoot the 4, and then 7th full cluster, the 7th full cluster clears the oh, it was 3 bodies. Yeah, so I cleared the 6, cleared the 3, and then I couldn't clear the Huancan. So I needed to just clear the 3 with the Impmon, and then the 7th full cluster would have cleared the Huancan, and I just make ruin mode on top of that. And that is game for me. I threw it. He ended up in top 16, so good on to him. Yeah, played in the 3v3. Our team got top 4. I played against Sakuya round 1, and we lost. I forgot who I played against round 2. Our team won 2-0. I forgot who I played against in round 3, and our team won 2-0. And I forgot who we played against in round 4, and our team won 2-0. And I played against Sukuyamon again in round 5, and our team won 2-0. Shoutouts to Harry and Trix. The Meetin and Smeetin 3 stack continues to be unstoppable. This time through no thanks to me. Deck's fun. I think it probably has a place in the meta. Gamble, and you should gamble live at twitch.tv/KnTElixar for Lethal or Living. Maybe there'll be some Lethal or Living clips coming soon. Once again, big thank you to everyone that lent me shiny Beelzemon pieces, because Lord knows I can barely put this deck together myself if I don't borrow Beelzemon cards off of people. Next profile that you see from me will be Armour, probably. Yeah, hopefully we get to play in Birmingham. Bye.